going on, everybody? It's Richard Koberg here, the Blue Collar Nerd, coming at you with another release notes video. Now, this one's pretty dense. We've got a lot of good stuff in here, so I'm just going to jump right into it. So first, under the new features section of the release notes, we're starting off with memberships. So simplified memberships are now available to all customers. The new simplified memberships workflow is now automatically included with ServiceTitan. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because if you'll recall, we actually talked about this one in the last release notes. And like I told you in that video, it was planned to go ahead and make that a default feature starting with these release notes, and so here it is. Basically, this feature is going to allow you to offer multiple durations and billing options all within one membership. So for example, if you wanted to offer both a monthly and annual version of your membership, you can now do that without building multiple memberships. It would just be different versions of the same membership, and then when somebody goes to sell it, they choose which one it is that they're selling. And the only difference from the last release notes is that you no longer have to ask your CSM to turn this on for you. It's just going to be available by default. Next, we've got the new payment collections feature. Now, this is a pretty big deal, but look, before I get you too excited about it, I want you to know you are going to need to be on the QuickBooks 2.0 web connector to use this feature. And a lot of shops, including myself, are still on the 1.0 connector. Now, the 1.0 web connector is scheduled to be sunsetted in October of this year. Sunsetted meaning retired, where we're not going to use it anymore. So by that time, assuming everything goes according to plan, everybody will be transitioned over to the 2.0 web connector. But if after hearing about this feature, you want to go ahead and get that process started right away, talk to your CSM and they can get the ball rolling for you. And also, if you're not sure which version of the web connector you're on, talk to your CSM, they'll be able to inform you on that as well. So you can now use payment collections to collect payment from your customers. With payment collections, you can save the collected payment as a customer credit via a sold estimate, project, invoice, customer record, and AR management. After you collect the payment from your customer, apply the credit to outstanding invoices. This new payment collection experience makes collecting deposits, managing overpayments, and moving payments between invoices efficient and streamlined. So basically, there are two main use cases for this new payment collections feature. One is for collecting deposits. See, previously, in order to collect a payment, that payment had to be tied to an invoice. Meaning if you were collecting a deposit for a future job, you would have to, like, for example, have a $0 item on that invoice that says deposit, $0, and then collect your deposit on top of that $0 invoice to give that customer a credit, and then you would move that payment later by putting those two jobs together in a project. And then the real pain happened if somebody were to export that deposit invoice before the actual job was done, because then you can't move that payment and you have to do all sorts of adjustments and painful things like that. This feature replaces that workflow. So with this feature, you can collect payments and not tie them to any particular invoice. That puts those credits on the customer account, and then you can allocate those credits across multiple invoices however you see fit. And that's the second use case. It's distributing the money across multiple invoices. So on the Office side, here's what it looks like. You can get to it from multiple places, but I'm going to jump into it from an invoice. And the old apply payment button now says collect and apply payment. And clicking on that takes you into the new collect and apply payment screen. And here you can collect a new payment. You can also view any available credits that are already floating on this customer's account. The top of the screen also has a shortcut to the payment history report, which is pretty cool. So if I'm choosing to collect a new payment, then I have these options down here to either apply that to the customer profile or apply to invoices. So if I were wanting to collect a deposit, I would just say apply to customer profile so that that money can float there until I'm ready to apply it to the future invoice that has not been generated yet. Technicians out in the field are able to use this workflow as well, although a little bit differently. So on the mobile side, they will now have a collect payments button on the estimates page. So on the mobile side, they will now have a new button that allows them to collect a payment on top of an estimate. Before, the only place where they could collect the payment was on the invoice itself, but now they can collect it on an estimate, choose to do that work later, and that will have the exact same effect. It will apply that money to the customer's account. So it's a better workflow for deposits. And with this, you don't have to worry about invoices accidentally getting exported and then locking up that payment because there is no invoice. Now, the challenge here comes with exporting to QuickBooks those payments that are not applied to any invoices. That can be done, but it does require the 2.0 web connector, which is why that web connector is required to use this feature. One more thing I'll point out about this one, you should be able to enable it on your own. So once this release is live in your account, go to settings and then look for payment actions. I thought the feature was called payment collections. Yeah, I don't know, it says payment actions for now. And then you should be able to toggle it on from there. Don't do that if you're not on the 2.0 connector though. You're gonna cause yourself a headache. Just wait for the 2.0 connector. Now, if you are on the 2.0 connector, but you're just not seeing that setting, then talk to your CSM. There is technically a feature gate, but it should be enabled by default. But if you're not seeing it, just talk to your CSM. They can get it on for you. All right, for this next section, if you are now or have ever been the person in your company who builds, manages, maintains the Pricebook. Make sure you're sitting down, get a box of tissues ready. This is probably going to be a little bit emotional for you. We've got the Pricebook Redesign. The Pricebook has been completely redesigned to make managing your Pricebook smarter and easier. Now, when you open Pricebook, you start on your services screen, which sports a brand new layout. Services, materials, and equipment items now display in tables with inline editable fields that include images, codes, item descriptions, prices, and more. Let me just show you what this is like. So here we are. This is where you land now by default when you click Pricebook. Now you'll notice up here I'm in view mode. That's because making edits to the Pricebook is now so dang easy that it's actually a concern that you might do it on accident. So I'm gonna switch over to edit mode. Now don't you worry about that. You know, we're gonna get to you. So now let's say I wanted to edit a bunch of these hours here. Okay, so this one's 8 hours, boom, now it's 9. That one's 6 hours, now it's 8. And that works with all the columns. So if I was editing the codes over here, just come over here, type in a new code, and now that's the new code. I could just move on to the next one. And if none of what you're seeing is what you're wanting to edit, well, no problem. You come up here to edit columns. And let's say I was trying to edit the dollar bonuses on a bunch of stuff, so I can check that off, hit apply. And now if I scroll over, I've got this dollar bonus column, which again, I can just edit right there in line. And again, this works for everything. So if you're trying to edit recommendations, you can even do that just right here in line without going to different pages. And of course, up here at the top, you've still got your category filter, so you can filter this list down. Now, as somebody who has built and maintained a lot of ServiceTitan Pricebooks in my day, I cannot express how big a deal this is. You know, just in case that you're not the Pricebook person in your company, let's go do it the old way. So here's an old school Pricebook. I'm gonna click in here. I'm gonna find hours. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna hit save. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna move on to the next one. I'm gonna scroll down. I'm gonna find hours. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna hit save. I'm gonna hit back. Are you mad yet? Are you upset? You want the new one back. You want the new one back, don't you? And let's say you were adding recommendations, but you only wanted to add recommendations to tasks that didn't already have a recommendation. Well, that's not even shown in these columns, and I can't edit the columns, so the only way I'm gonna know whether or not I even need to add one is by clicking into them one by one. What I'm trying to say is this is a big improvement and I'm really happy about it. Another thing worth pointing out here is that the little modal, the little thing you use to upload images, is now a little bit different. It looks like this now. Now next, under ServiceTitan Mobile, we've got phone capture, and this is another awesome feature. Just one banger after another on this one. So to make it easier to take photos and videos and add them to jobs, technicians can now capture images from their mobile phones and sync them directly to the job. After tapping phone capture on ServiceTitan Mobile, a unique link is sent to the technician's mobile device where they can select images on their mobile phone or take new ones. Once added to a job, each image is also added to the job audit trail. So let me break down a little further what problem this is solving. When I was out in the field, yes, I used to be out in the field, no, I was not very good at it. The problem I consistently had was trying to take pictures of evaporator coils. It's pretty hard to do with a big old tablet. And if you're not super familiar with the HVAC industry, let me break down why. The evaporator coil typically is inside of a cabinet, and that cabinet is typically taped and masticed shut. But a lot of them are also made of copper and steel, and they're constantly wet from condensation. And besides just the condensation, there's 1,000 factors that can lead to corrosion within that evaporator coil. And so as part of our routine maintenance, we like to get a picture of that evaporator coil to get an idea of how corroded it is. Before the HVAC police come after me, I know that just looking at the outside of the coil doesn't necessarily give a perfect indicator of former carry corrosion on the inside, but it still helps to look at it. Problem is, because this cabinet is taped and masticed shut, it's really difficult to get the door all the way off, and it's especially difficult to do in a 100+ degree attic. So typically the technique was you open up one side a little bit, pull the door back, snap a picture, put it all back together. Pretty easy to accomplish with a phone, but if you have a big tablet and you're trying to hold the door back and trying to hold the tablet with your chin and you're trying to push the button with your thumb, it's just not fun. Similar if you're trying to take pictures in crawl spaces or just other confined spaces where you don't really want to carry this big tablet and try to take pictures with it. So with this new phone capture feature, the technician can push the phone capture button on their tablet, and that's gonna send a link to their cell phone. Now keep in mind you have to have the technician's cell phone number input in their profile in ServiceTitan for this to work. Then the technician can tap that link on their cell phone and upload any pictures they've already taken, or just go ahead and snap the pictures straight from there. And then those pictures are going to be applied to the job. They were just able to quickly and efficiently apply those pictures to the job from their cell phone without having to log out, log back in, airdrop pictures, any of that stuff. Really handy, and I really think a lot of technicians are gonna appreciate that feature. feature. Okay, moving on to the improvement section of the release notes. So under accounting integrations, we have automatically track sales tax in QuickBooks Desktop. You can now map tax zones in ServiceTitan to QuickBooks tax rates or groups to automate the sales tax tracking in QuickBooks when exporting invoices. This ensures that ServiceTitan and QuickBooks use the same tax rate to calculate sales tax. We also have export $0 invoices to Intacct or QuickBooks Desktop. So you can now export $0 invoices, which ensures that non-inventory equipment or service items that are $0, such as warranty work, are reflected in your accounting system. Next, under alerts. Self-dispatching will no longer trigger an SMS alert notification. So this is one of those ones that I've been talking about, one that used to be a gated feature and we're now making it not a gated feature. So basically in ServiceTitan, you can set up an alert to go to the technician whenever they get dispatched, which is great. But one day somebody said, hold up a minute, if we have a technician getting alerts when they're dispatched, that means they're going to get alerts even when they self-dispatch. But obviously they know that they dispatched if they dispatch themselves. And so a feature was made to only send the alert if they're dispatched from the office. But that feature was gated. But then somebody said, hold up a minute, that don't make no sense. Why would we want it to work any other way? Let's just make that the default. And so here it is. Now it's the default. Next, under Contactless Experience. Email addresses are no longer required for Contactless Experience. So previously, when a technician was using the contactless e-sign stuff through the Visit Assistant, they were able to send that out to cell phones, but they had to also at least pick one email address to send that out to. And the reason for that was we needed an email address to send their signed copies to. But now, if the client prefers, we can choose to only send it to a cell phone and not send it to any email address. And then once the customer signs each document using their mobile device, they'll receive a copy of it as a text message. And they'll be able to download it and do whatever it is that they need to do with it from there. Next, under Customer Communications. Exclude business units and job types from customer notifications. So to give you more control over the types of notifications sent to customers, you can now exclude specific business units and job types from the following types of notifications: booking confirmations, reminder confirmations, dispatch notifications, and job completion surveys. So for example, this could be handy if you have like a commercial department and your commercial clients don't want a dispatch text, but for your residential clients, you do want them to have the dispatch text. So now, just as an umbrella rule, you could just disable any commercial business units from sending out dispatch texts. I say text, but email notifications or text messages, just the notification. So to do that, you would go into the customer notification section of your settings, find the type of notification you're trying to edit, click on it, then go over to the right to the settings tab, and you'll see these new exclusion settings. So you can exclude certain business units or certain job types or some combination of the two from there. Next, under dashboards and scorecards, you can now set a custom dashboard as your default dashboard. So if you have a custom dashboard that you're constantly switching over to, you can now just set that as your default, and that's just where it will take you every time you go to your dashboard. Next, under dispatching, we've got a couple of dispatch board enhancements. So business unit filters on the dispatch board now applied to the legacy map. To minimize confusion and reduce clutter on the dispatch board map, all filters applied to the dispatch board also apply to the map. Previously, the dispatch board map always showed all technicians and all jobs, regardless of any filters set for the dispatch board. And just to be clear here, we are talking about the legacy dispatch map, not the 2.0 map. The 2.0 map has its own set of filters. So this is the legacy map, and this is the 2.0 map. Legacy, 2.0. We're talking about this one. And next we have schedule board is now color-coded by technician. To make it easier to understand at a glance which technicians are assigned to which jobs, the schedule board is color-coded by technician. Previously, the colors of the jobs on the schedule board was set by the zone of the job. Now again, this is one of those ones that was a gated feature and is now not a gated feature, it's available by default. So if you're confused right now because your schedule board already looks like that, then that's probably why you just had the feature gate enabled already. Next, under invoicing, chargeable materials just listed as materials in customer invoices and estimates. So this is just a change in nomenclature to prevent confusion. Anytime you're adding materials that are customer facing to an invoice or to an estimate, that's inherently going to be chargeable materials. And so for those scenarios, the word chargeable is just being removed and it's just going to say materials to make it more clear to customers. So if a customer's invoice has chargeable materials on it, for the customer, it's just going to say materials because that's what's going to make more sense for them. Next, under jobs, we've got some further enhancements to the jobs page. So a few things on the jobs page now have a new look and feel, such as timesheets. So to make it easier to quickly assess and access technician timesheets for a job, we've enhanced the timesheets panel to have a roll-up reporting instead of individual timestamps. Previously, each timesheet entry was listed sequentially, making it difficult to see at a glance how much time was spent on any given job, especially if you had multiple technicians being dispatched to the same job for a long period of time. There's also been some changes to how estimates estimates are displayed on each job. So now it will take you fewer clicks to get to the estimate you want to see. When you click on the estimate, we'll link you directly to that estimate rather than the opportunity page. If you click on a sold estimate, we'll take you directly to the sold estimate page where you can book work into an install or any other type of work. I'm not really sure why they specifically said install, but if you'd like to go to the opportunity page, click view opportunity. Fewer clicks all around. Also improved visibility of the job summary, so the job summary has moved up to make it more prominent. Enhanced service location and bill to section. To make it easier to quickly identify key details about a job service location and bill to address, we've updated the styling of this section. And my favorite out of this piece, it's now easier to share the job page. So at the top of the job page, you'll now see this little icon here. And that copies the job number, the job type, and a URL link to that job. So we would just click this link here, that's gonna copy it to our clipboard, and then wherever we want, we can just paste, and boom, it's just gonna paste in the job number, the job type, the location, and a link that will take somebody directly to that job page. It's really convenient, that's a nice addition. Next, under Marketing Pro, more columns when exporting audiences. So to give you more actionable data when you export a Marketing Pro audience, it will now include additional details like customer names, addresses, phone numbers, and more. Next, under Memberships, improvements to expiring memberships in follow-ups. Now, when reviewing the expiring memberships table in follow-ups, clicking an item in the estimates column opens the estimate in a new tab. Also, a new refresh button lets you update the expiring memberships table without having to reset all of your filters. Yeah, that should make working in that tab a whole lot easier because you're not constantly losing your page to go to an estimate and you're not constantly resetting your filters just trying to update the list as you work. We've also got recurring services report template enhancements. So the recurring services, upcoming appointments, custom report template includes new column options to help you book recurring service events into jobs. The new columns include customer tags, location tags, and recurring service event ID. We also have improved deferred revenue management for dismissed recurring service events. And again, asterisk disclaimer, this is another one that used to be a gated feature and is no longer. So it's very possible that it's already worked this way in your account. But now when you recognize deferred revenue for a dismissed recurring service event, the current date is used on the recognized revenue invoice. Previously, the date the recurring service event was scheduled to occur was used. This ensures that revenue is recognized during the correct accounting period. Next, under Mobile, we've got a quick add button for upgrades in ServiceTitan Mobile. So when viewing service and equipment items with upgrades on estimates and invoices, a new button allows technicians to add an upgrade item without having to go to the details screen. This simplifies the process of adding upgrades to estimates and invoices. And after that, we've got two more features that used to be feature gates and now aren't. Just got gates swinging open left and right, you better watch out. So, arrival by GPS. Now, when dispatch technicians with GPS-enabled mobile devices arrive within 100 meters of their job location, they are automatically arrived. Technicians can also manually arrive themselves if GPS is unavailable. Again, this may not be news to you, it probably isn't, but that did used to be gated and it's not anymore. And next is clock in and clock out of meal breaks. Technicians can now use clock in and clock out of meal breaks from their mobile devices. Previously, meal breaks were managed from the office. Again, that's if you didn't already have that feature gate enabled. Next, under Pricebook, we've got Pricebook Mobile View. This is something I called for way back in the day at the same time that I started my whole duplicate button crusade. So this button allows you to view your price book the same way that a technician would be viewing it. This is extremely handy if you're somebody who builds and manages the price book because the mobile view is the way that it's usually going to be seen. So it's important that you know what that looks like to ensure that it's intuitive and usable. But before, the only way to do that was to hijack a managed tech account. Now this view and mobile button along with the duplicate button was a Pricebook Pro exclusive feature. And now on this glorious day, the mobile view button is joining its good friend the duplicate button as a standard Pricebook feature. I believe this was always the plan to bring this out along with the duplicate button. It's just that this one was a little bit more complicated to work with than the duplicate button was. But I'm very happy about this. That is an extremely useful feature. Next, we have import and export from Pricebook. So importing and exporting your Pricebook is now an option from the Pricebook side menu. Before, if you were working on your Pricebook and then you decided that you wanted to export it, you would have to go outside of the Pricebook section to this other section in the settings that said import export and select Pricebook from the drop down, and it was just too separated. So now you're able to do that directly from the side menu in the Pricebook section. Next, membership pricing table disables billing task price field in Pricebook. So this is tying back to that new membership stuff, the very first note we talked about today. So the new membership pricing table lets you directly set prices for billing memberships, so you don't need to enter prices in your price book. To avoid confusion, the price fields of the billing task items used to bill memberships are hidden in your price book. Yeah, so basically just to avoid confusion, there's only one place to change billing task price, and that's from that new membership pricing table. So if you go and find that billing task in your price book, the price field is going to be hidden just to keep that all in one single place. Next, equipment costs in the price setup wizard calculations. So the price setup wizard now uses equipment costs and any included markups when calculating prices. So that's great. That was one pitfall of equipment that has now been eliminated. So equipment now works just fine with the price setup wizard. All right, next under reporting, search all reports from the report's home screen. Now when you use the search bar from the report's home screen, the search query covers all reports. This saves you a step, as previously you had to go to the All Reports tab before being able to perform a full search. Yeah, this should definitely save some frustration and allow me to demonstrate. So let's say I was looking for a membership report. So I'd come here to the report screen, I'd go to the search bar, I'd start typing in membership, god dang it. And then I would go over to all reports and then I would start seeing my membership reports. But now with this update, I go to the reports page, I can start typing in memberships, and wow, the membership reports start showing up. So it saves me from then having to click over here to all reports. That's really nice. I know I always forgot to go to the all reports page, so that really saves me some frustration. Okay, next we have new data aggregation tools for report columns. So you can now view aggregate column details directly on reports, giving you new ways to analyze your business metrics. Depending on the column type, you can find column totals, column averages, total number of entries, total number of unique entries, or maximum value and minimum value for items in a column. So yes, this is like, for example, if you scroll to the bottom of a column of jobs, at the very bottom there you'll see that entire column added up, so the total number of jobs altogether. This is again something that used to be gated and isn't anymore, so if this doesn't sound new to you, it might not be. Next is income from sales column in performance reports. You can include the new column income from sales in custom reports based on business unit performance and technician performance templates. The column totals all income items on sold estimates. You can compare income from sales to actual revenue on invoices to get insights on sales and job technician performance. And finally, under fixes, we have a fix related to memberships. So a fixed duration membership with a continuous recurring service no longer generates recurring service events after the membership expiration date. And it says there account configuration required. That's because to have encountered this problem in the first place, you would have had to have had account configuration enabled. It doesn't mean that you need some account configuration to apply this fix. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this update. I think there's some pretty good stuff in this one. Be sure to hit like if you like this video, you found it valuable, and subscribe to the ServiceTitan YouTube channel if you've not done that already. Appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.